Hello and welcome to the Energy and Consciousness Summit. I'm Sheila Derfler, your host, and today I have with me Jamie Alonge. Jamie is the founder of Regeneration Tai Chi, and he's come to have a chat with us about how Tai Chi can help us right now during these times to better manage our energy and our consciousness. So, hi, Jamie. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Sheila. Hi, I'm going to give you the Tai Chi salute here.
Oh, great. Yes, I remember that from 20 years ago. Yeah.
It's a sign of respect for one another.
Great. So, Jamie, would you tell everyone a little bit about your background and maybe even how you came to Tai Chi and how it changed your life?
Well, I'd love to. I actually came to Tai Chi in my early 20s. I had left home and was on my own and found a Tai Chi master. And it was something that I wanted to do because I knew it was martial arts, but I also wanted more of some spirituality, really. And in my 20s, I didn't have any pain or anything in my body. So I was just looking for some spirituality and martial arts, found that and practiced diligently for about 5 years and competed around where I was in Colorado, and continued on. I then came back home and continued on and practiced on my own here and there, and I would continue with my learning, but then I started to feel my body get worn down because of the line of work that I was in. I was a fine dining server for 17 years and at one of Los Angeles's top sort of paparazzi lined steakhouses, if you will, with all the celebrities. And it was exciting in that aspect, but it really wore my body into the ground, all of my 30s and half of my 40s. And, everything from broken toes and stress fractures and inflammation, sore backs, sore necks, shoulders. I mean, you pretty much name it, sprained ankles. That's just what happens in that industry. And so that's when I picked back up my Tai Chi heavily and Qigong, and really began thinking that I was going to heal those injuries. And it was something that I thought I would get into in my 70s or something seriously. But sure enough, I got back into it much sooner. And I did find that, and I'm still finding that it really worked to heal my chronic pain. So that was the sort of the first wave about a little over 10 years ago. And then more recently, what I'm noticing is that I am not a morning person at all. Being that I would work at night and whatnot, I would kind of wake up in the mornings, and I've never been a morning person. And I would find that when I would do my Tai Chi first thing in the morning, even if it was just a little warm up, it would be completely different throughout the day as if I didn't. If I just went and ate my breakfast and jumped into my to-do list, you're just kind of like in that space of, okay, my to-do list, whatever. And so that's what I've been encouraging people to do these days, is to try a routine early in the morning and just kind of change. I found more, I've been seeing more of the mental aspects change as well. So, we say mind and body, and there's the body element of all the wonderful things it does internally with all the organs and the joints and just the systems of our body. But the mental and emotional aspects I've been really fascinated about of late, especially with all that we've been going through.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been really, really into that, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that. And so I teach all walks of life. I teach in the mental health communities. I have taught at senior assisted living facilities. I've taught inside of the LGBTQ community, even with corporate retreats, and so and my own set of programs that I offer online as well. So So I'm loving it because it's a way to switch it up when you're not in a good place, and it doesn't take a long time, and it doesn't take any equipment,
Mhm.
or technology.
That's fabulous. So I'm curious, how do you see, like, what changes are you seeing? Because it sounds like you work with a variety of populations. Do you find it's like as effective for all the different population? What kinds of healing or what kinds of benefits are you seeing for these different groups that you're working with, these different populations?
Well, the first thing I thought of was the 90-plus-year-old man that I used to work with Parkinson's. I mean, to see him walk into the room almost hobbling and, shaking, obviously, before we start the class. And then quickly within the class, to watch the shaking stop and the movements, and the posture get better because he has a direction. Just that is was just like, wow, I'll never forget moments like that. So, that's in the case of Parkinson's. In the case of the mentally people with mental disorders that I work with, um, the second you begin getting sort of outside the mind and into the focus of the body, it's it's what I would describe as nothingness or tranquility or calmness. It's not like there's a state that you get to like pure joy. It's just this emptiness. It's just this releasing, if anything, of what you were focused on in the material world today to just a stillness of the mind. Once you begin sort of any type of Tai Chi or Qigong practice.
Mhm.
And a lot of the common feedback that I get is I feel calm yet awake, which points to the yin yang. It's like there's a settling down, but there's an awareness that happens because of in Tai Chi we move slowly, and when you move slow and you slow down, people are all used to slowing down through breath or meditation, but you can slow your movements down too, right? And, as you see in Tai Chi, we move slowly, and it's for a reason, because at first it becomes difficult, but shortly after, first you settle the body down and then the mind begins to settle down. So when you can slow the body, then the mind follows. And yeah, calm but awake is just a familiar theme,
Mm.
which is it's nice.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've my understanding of the way the energy and the consciousness and our physicality works. Whether it's breath work or meditation or the different energy medicine modalities, when you can get in and shift one or two, all of them, you impact all of them. And that speaks to the fact that we are multidimensional beings. So we can actually, hack by shifting any one of those things, right? Shifting our mindset can change our whole physicality and our consciousness. Changing our consciousness can, then change the other two. And then, it's wonderful how they all impact each other, but so often people forget, especially living in our culture, we forget that we're more than just, the physical body. So I
That
love
is a brilliant word, hack. That's I that I'm gonna steal that. Because that's what it is. And nobody wakes up in a great mood every day, right? I mean, life just throws you what it does moment to moment. And on days when you're emotional in a certain way, you can barely move. It's amazing how much just an emotion can affect your
Mhm.
actions. Not that there's anything wrong with your body, but you can't get off the couch if you're
Mhm.
depressed. It's just, and I think a lot, to get from A to B, to hack that situation kind of is a lot of just, like Nike says, just do it. Just, whether it's whatever modality you like, just force yourself to start,
Mhm.
and then you'll tap into that hacking, and sometimes it's just, you have to be willing to do the thing that you don't feel like doing for that second. And then you're like, oh, great, I'm glad I did it, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Afterwards, you're like, why was I resisting it so much? Yeah,
Yeah.
because
And then
like I feel
hopefully it
so much
becomes a
better.
habit. Yeah.
But the procrastination and that state that we can get into, where we can't get up off the sofa, that actually is a stress response. Like you're in fight, flight, you're in the freeze. So when we're actually like being the couch potato that can't get motivated, and we're having those thoughts where we're beating ourselves up in addition, and we're going, I really should, I really, I really should do XYZ. But we can't. We're literally paralyzed from that state of mind, that fight, flight, and freeze. So it's interesting that once you can motivate yourself to even take the tiniest motion um, in that direction, it's good. Do you have a little hack, for lack of a better word? Do you have a little hack that when you're in that state, like you're in couch potato mode, that like even just a simple Tai Chi movement that you do to get yourself up off the sofa or start the ball rolling?
Yeah. I will definitely go out and do a routine, and whatnot. Um, but I can show you one that you and I can do just right here, sitting down.
Okay.
Just a fun one, that we could do. And the name of this one is great. I'm just going to slide back so you can see my
Okay.
hands. The name is great. It's called Push Palms to Calm Down.
Oh, great. Okay.
I love that because it's to calm down when we're possibly really stressed. And we just take our hands and bring them palms facing up underneath the belly button to start. And you simply just bring them up and you inhale through the nose. And as you get to the top, you turn them over exactly and push down and breathe out. So we inhale on the way up through the nose, turn, exhale, push down. Could be through the nose, the exhale. And you just go along with the breath. So as long as as deep as you could breathe in and as deep as you breathe out, that's how high the hands go. So if you can only breathe into here halfway, that's fine. You just do it with the breath. So go at your own pace, but coordinate the breath. And this is moving the hands in front of all of our organs in the whole torso. When you go on a deeper level, you think, okay, maybe I'm just moving my hands and coordinating the breath. But you're actually regulating all of the organs. And it's as simple as this. But I just love this simple technique to calm down. Yeah.
Wow.
That's just a
I
great one. Classic.
Yeah, that one shifted the frenetic energy from the first part of my day. That just, all the stuff I was doing before we got on the call, it just completely calmed all that down. Yeah, really
Yes.
awesome tool. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I know that from when I had taken Tai Chi years ago, um, I would love for you to explain for people, first of all, a little bit about how the meridians play into Tai Chi, like how the movements are impacting meridians and, just the flow of the Chi. We'll start with that first, rather than me loading you up with more than one question.
Cool. Wow, that's a pretty complex question. But we'll go ahead and I'll give you a demonstration on how to trace the kidney meridian.
Okay, great.
Just as an example. So we all know our kidneys are back here, and so the kidneys have their functions to process our waste. Among other things, they regulate hormonal production, lots of different things, but they also hold fear and trauma, which is very interesting. Different organs hold different emotions. For example, the heart, that's where we love, but it's also where we hate, right? If we're just like, oh, I hate that person or that, it's right in the heart. It's also where we feel impatience. We feel it in our heart. And the spleen, nobody speaks about their spleen, but the spleen is the organ on the left side of the ribs where we hold our worries, which I'm prone to be I'm a recovering worrier.
Me too.
So I found that very interesting. And the kidneys for fear and trauma. So the kidney meridian is going to actually go all the way from the bottom of the foot here, and then up the ankle, and then up the inside of the knee, and then come right through the groin, and then up through the midsection, up through here, and up through the lungs, and then all the way right here at the top of the lungs, right? So the meridian is where the chi travels through, and the energy pathways there. So this is an example of a movement from a very popular Qigong called the 8 Brocades, one of the most widely popular Qigongs, and it's called 2 hands climb the legs to strengthen the kidneys. So I'll just show you how it goes. So our hands are coming up and we're just pushing down in front, and right about the chest level, I'm going back to rub the old kidneys back here. Now, as I lean forward and essentially bow, what's happening is my back muscles in the lower back are pushing up against the kidney. Just, that's what happens when you bow, especially when you come up. You're literally massaging against, the muscles are pushing against the kidney. And that's how the organ massage happens in Tai Chi. So just by going down here and beginning to bow, now I'm tracing the back of the legs, which is actually the bladder meridian. So here's where the kidney meridian starts, from underneath the toes, up the ankles, and we're just tracing here and going through here, okay, and back up. And there's a little variation as we're going down. We can bring the hands up this way, and this movement right here is pushing against that lower back and massaging the kidneys. And yeah, so that's how it works. I love to use the example of the organs get a massage. I mean, there aren't many exercises where your organs are being massaged.
Yeah. Actually, in yoga, you're massaging the organs in a lot of yoga poses as well, especially the twists, right? The twists, the back bends. Yeah.
Exactly.
So when people are using Tai Chi kind of almost, like as a daily kind of practice, and maybe even if they have a particular thing that they wake up with that morning that's bothering them, like, a different imbalance, are there different exercises in Tai Chi and Qigong? Are there different exercises to do that, like, okay, if you know that you're having liver issues, or, you know that you're having, spleen, or, whatever emotional state correlates with the different organs, if you're sensing you have an imbalance and you want to shift your energy to actually help bring more balance back, are there specific routines that people can almost use like a little, inner pharmacy, like
Yeah.
Tai Chi pharmacy?
Yeah. And I think that goes to the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong. So, yeah, because Qigong, if you want to just get right to the heart of the matter, Qigong is for you because you can target, like we were just doing, that was a Qigong that targets the kidneys. Tai Chi, organs do get involved, but it's more of a circulation, and there is an organ massage, but Tai Chi is a martial art, and Qigong is the the big umbrella that everything falls under. Qigong is actually the big umbrella, which just translates to energy work or study of Qi. And inside of Qigong, there's acupuncture, acupressure, herbs, Chinese massage, and movements like I was just doing for medical health. And there's also inside of Qigong, there's martial arts Qigong, which is Tai Chi. So you have to, in order to really be doing Tai Chi, you have to understand that it is a martial art. It literally translates to grand ultimate fist, okay? Because you're punching, you're blocking. Even though it just looks like I'm moving my hands, this is a block and this is a strike. So, I'm not necessarily, and it is engaging the lungs and it's opening, the sides of the lungs here. And then when you engage the breath, this movement called waving the hands like clouds, it's engaging the lungs, okay? And this is Tai Chi, because this is a block and this is protecting the groin, let's just say. But if I were to have respiratory problems, like serious problems, and wanting to engage the lungs or expand the capacity of lungs, then I would do, Qigong for the lungs, specific Qigong for the lungs, where I'm not worried about blocking punches or standing. I'm sitting here. For example, the healing sound for the lungs is just like letting the air out of the balloon. And there's 6 healing sounds is a wonderful meditation that I recommend for everyone. It's called the 6 healing sounds. And it's just a simple seated meditation where you engage all 5 of your major organs here and you make a sound. And the lung sound, for example, is, so you would do a movement like this. I'll do it from the side, where you're inhaling and then making the sound and opening the sides of the lungs, or here where you're opening the front of the lungs, or here where you're opening the back of the lungs. And these clearly don't look like martial arts, but it's energy work with movement, and it's a Qigong. So I do have my favorite one for worry and overthinking.
Great. Please show that one to me.
Yeah. Right. So that's done in the spleen. And you can just watch, but you can also do it sitting. But so the spleen is on the left side of our ribs. Yeah. So it's simply called raising the hands to strengthen the stomach and spleen. And simply, we just raise the left hand and push down on the right. So this opposite movement, the opposite energy going in opposite direction, is really what stretches and expands that spleen. And then you just change the hands in the middle, you bend and push up the other side. And the above hand, the fingers are sort of facing across you, and the fingers this way are facing forward, and you're stretching. And it's really, Tai Chi is really about stretching and opening things, opening those meridians or pathways. And so this is for overthinking and worry, and it balances out both sides of the body. Kind of just takes your mind off of things. Pushing, exactly. And The sound of the spleen on the left side is HU. It's just a breath. So often what you can do is just put your hands on the spleen, which is where we hold our worries. And this is another wonderful meditation called the inner smile. And it's just beautiful. You just connect to that organ and you smile at it. The spleen is where we hold our worries, right? And instead of the worries, you just imagine a positive emotion like trust and stability filling up that organ, right? And you just do it with your mind. And the spleen is associated with the earth element. So that's the color yellow. So you would do something simple like imagining your spleen filled up with the color yellow, like a yellow sunset, and filling in with trust and stability and those positive emotions, just simply using your intention and your mind. And that is a Qigong as well, called the inner smile Qigong. And all the 6 healing sounds and the inner smile are all over YouTube. But they really do leave you like empty. Or in this case, if you replace it with a positive emotion. So like what we were doing here was just kind of releasing. And then if you go in and you're putting in a positive emotion in its place, wow. You know, you're just in a whole other mindset.
Well, so it's probably very similar to all the latest like neuroscience and meditations about rewiring your nervous system and your brain. I mean, it's sort of the ancient, wisdom that now is becoming science, and it's very fascinating. So I am curious, like, with how so much of traditional medicine and ancient wisdom is becoming like everyone's trying to do studies to prove why it works, how it works. Are there studies, like, do you have any interesting tidbits from, research that you've heard about how they, are either proving that Tai Chi works and there's
lots of good studies in this book.
okay.
A lot of good studies. The Harvard Medical School Guide to Tai Chi.
Wow. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah, they are still working on these types of things as the technology is becoming more available where they can measure Qi. But simply put, I like to explain that Qi, our body's energy, think of it, I hate to say it this way, but think of a dead body. If there's a body laying here, you can't just pump air into it and it, becomes alive. There has to be an energy, an electricity that's flowing. And that's Qi. It's the electricity that powers the body. The body is really just a battery of sorts, with lots of functioning electricity. But the Qi gets created simply by eating and breathing. Air and food make Qi. That's what happens at the end of the day. The oxygen and the glucose, they combine to make this life force that powers the body. In yoga, I believe it's called prana. But it's just simply composed of, simply put, those 2 elements is how it gets created. And the body makes other sort of energies as well. It makes heat, right? It makes light, and it makes Qi.
Yeah. Great. So is your work focusing more on the Tai Chi or the Qigong, or are you trained in both?
Yeah, I'm trained in both. It's sort of, it often depends on the community that I'm working with. I've found that Tai Chi is more complex than Qigong. because um, yeah, the forms tend to be, there are longer and shorter forms, but yeah, qigong it can be very simple. Something like the 8 brocades is wonderful. Those movements that I was doing really wasn't very hard at all. But when you're moving around and where's my left foot, where's my right hand, where's my weight, which is Tai Chi. So some people are in immense pain, physical pain. Some people aren't very coordinated. That doesn't mean you can't do Tai Chi. It's just, going to take a little bit more of a commitment to develop the coordination. So I started out for 20 years just doing Tai Chi. And when I wanted to heal things like my back, my lower back, that's when I got into Qigong, actually. I found that Tai Chi kind of uh, amps you up a bit, energizes you, but Qigong can get right to the heart of what you might be dealing with ailment wise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I really like the way that you explained it earlier, that, Qigong is sort of the umbrella that all the other things fall under. So, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense.
Great, great. I think people are often confused. They think they want to do Tai Chi, but really they might better be used for Qigong.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so Jamie, do you have any advice or tips for how people can be using Qigong in their daily life, just to deal with, the added stress of how we're, what we're facing right now, and all the sort of uncertainty, and is there actual an organ to work with in particular, or that would be tied to this uncertainty and the emotions around that?
Boy, that's good. The good question. Um, it just made me want to show you my 2 favorite Qigong movements for
Okay,
stress relief.
great.
Is that okay?
Yes, please. Yeah.
I just love the way these movements feel. So you stay seated and I'm just gonna show you here. Okay. And the name of this first movement is called Heart Flower Blooming. Obviously, the heart is such an energy center, and the heart does not want to hold on to emotion. It just wants to give and receive, right? But when we're holding on to anger or impatience or what have you, it's all happening in the chest. And obviously the heart is here and the lungs are here, and they're like neighbors. So kind of whatever's happening with the heart, the lung is not very far behind, and they cool each other off. And so these 2 movements are for both the heart and the lungs. So we take a little bit wider stance, a little bit past the shoulders here, and we just do a scoop, like you're scooping, and you can even do it seated, scooping, and you just make an X, yeah, with your hands, and you bring that up to about your shoulders. And then you simply just turn the palms to face out, right? All the way out. And your palms are energy centers, right? When you shake someone's hand, you feel their energy, or when you massage somebody. So then from the middle of your palms, you just open and push out, up and out, kind of whatever angle. And then you bend and you're scooping energy here from the ground or the earth here, bringing it up, and you're gathering energy in your chest. You can see my hands are way in front, turning, pushing, right? And so this is called heart flower blooming, because it's like right here, you're at the level of your heart, and your heart is like a flower. And if you really want to get into the visualization, if you imagine your heart is this beautiful, like red rose, for example, and then you turn, and then your petals are like blooming to the sun. And it's a very happy thought. And then you just coordinate it with the breath. So let's say inhale here, and you turn those hands and exhale and push out. And you really open the chest. So we're gathering from the earth up to the chest, and the whole thing is to open that chest and release the stress. So just over and over with the breath, inhale and exhale. With the mind focused. And you're pushing out of the palms, you're pushing the stress out and opening, right? So that's for the heart and the lungs, because anytime you're opening your arms at this level, you're engaging heart and lungs. You know, anytime you're sort of up here, it's all in that upper portion. And then the second movement is just reverse. So we were going this way and out, and then we just reverse it. And this has an even better title. It's called Energy Shower from the Heavens. And it's literally taking all the energy from the heavens or the sky and gathering it and then washing through, as they say, bringing it into your body to like push out, like think of like an apparatus that's just pushing out. So washing, cleansing, showering yourself. And this is a charging up type movement. You can bend here and inhale on the way up. And exhale when you start to push. And really, if you could just almost like bathe with your own hands, feeling the energy go through the whole body and then down and out the feet. So last one, a big inhale. You would imagine taking in energy through those energy centers in your palm and bringing it through the brain, bringing it down through the heart and the lungs, pushing out any toxic negative energy, replacing it with that fresh energy from the sky. So these are just so simple, but they really do release energy and then charge you up with fresh energy. You know, I love those two movements. And you can do them for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, one or the other, just one movement. And so that's why, you know, when you asked earlier, is there something you'll do? Sometimes I'll just go out for 3 minutes. You know, I'll be on the computer for an hour. Okay, let me take a break. I'll just go do a movement for just 3 minutes. And, you know, just, okay, cool. It's just moved it right out.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you brought that up because we are all spending so much more time in front of our screens, in Zooms all day. And yeah, so it's good to have those little tools.
I am spending so much more time on the computer as well, and I'm cramping up. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I remember when I spent, you know, 9 to 5 at a desk, and now just to think about going back to that, now that I'm not doing that anymore, but the times that I am sitting at the desk doing, you know, tech, it's just like, oh, wow, you feel such cramping. And another thing, since we're on that tip, this movement, moving the hips in a big circle around the back, the sides, the front, the sides, just literally making a circle with the hips reverses the effects of sitting. And you do it very slow and you get the whole circle. Like I said, you know, get the whole circle, front, back, side. And so you think, okay, I'm just moving my hips in a circle, and you go in one direction and then you go in the other. But what's in this area? Okay, your hips, fine. The huge pelvic bones on the side of your hips right here are some of the biggest bones in our body and have the most bone marrow in them and produce the red blood cells, right? The sexual organs, the ovaries, the prostate, energy gets trapped in those areas, and things like cancer begins to develop. And just a simple movement like this is opening the energy. You have your adrenal glands right above the kidneys back here, the lower lumbar in the back. So something like this that's so simple and might seem a bit boring, if you can just get into it and start to put your mind as far as what is really in that region, you know, you're undoing the damage of sitting, you know, through very simple things.
Yeah.
That's part of like any standard Tai Chi warm up, you know, a movement like that.
Simple but powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jamie, you mentioned that you do have a free gift for people in the audience. Can you let us know
Yeah,
what that is? Because you sort of touched
it
on it.
is. Yeah, it's called Ease into Mornings. It's simply to where you can wake up, have some water, make some coffee, and then do a small routine like this from head to toe, circling the neck, circling the shoulders, turning the hip, doing the knees, the hamstrings, the ankles, just going head to toe with a circular movement. One of the main principles of Tai Chi is using circular movement. So circling all the major joints, and just what that does in the morning, it just gets you out of the sluggishness, and it also clears the mental fog. Um, there's other techniques that I show in that, and yeah, I'm excited to offer that for this group, because it's just one thing I want to say is that yes, I started in the mid 90s in my Tai Chi, but I haven't always been, training like I'm a monk at Shaolin Temple or something. So the warm up though is something that I have always done, because it keeps you connected to your own energy. It reduces stiffness, which I've had a lot of, and it's interesting. Even if you have a lot of pain when you wake up, you can do a Tai Chi or Qigong type warm up, and it really reduces it. And just the warm up, and then you could start your day with less pain. So yeah, I'm making that available for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and you're setting yourself up for a much more, you're more present, you're in your body. It's just, it's a powerful way to start your day. To just do 15 minutes of something mindful like that. That's great.
It
So
is.
Thank you for sharing that beautiful gift. And can you tell people where they can find you? We'll have the links below, but for anyone who's listening and not looking at a screen right now, can you just tell everyone how to find you?
Yeah, my company is called Regeneration Tai Chi, and I spend a lot of time on Instagram under that handle, Regeneration Tai Chi. Also Facebook, and my website, regenerationtaichi.com, has a little bit more about me as well. And I just like that word regeneration, because it's never too late. Just no matter what injury or ailment you're suffering from, you have to put in some effort, a little bit, but you can turn it around. You really can turn it around. They say the definition of kung fu, everybody's heard of the word kung fu. It just means hard work over time, effort over time. That's what it means to have. You have kung fu. Kung fu isn't necessarily just a martial art. You can have excellent kung fu at playing chess, right? Because you've put in that practice and that work. And I just encourage people to try something. Don't just let. It's all about listening to your body. Your body's trying to send you signals, right? Whether it's pain or emotional signals, and so it's about being really in Tai Chi. We encourage you to become more aware of these signals that and then do something about it. um, you know,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's a physical practice, but it impacts everything, your energy, your mind, your body. So I
it
love it.
does. Yeah, and it's a physical practice that you get to say, you get to define. Nobody's going to make you do 100 reps, or come on, keep going. It's actually the opposite. It's stopping before the pain. The people that tend to get injured in yoga or Tai Chi, um, you know, you wanna err on the side of caution and not push. You want to yield and slowly let things gradually open. The next day you'll feel better than the previous day, and so on and so on.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Jamie. It's been so informative talking to you. I feel like I learned quite a bit about Tai Chi and Qigong, and I loved all your demos and everything you shared. So thank you for being here today.
It was my pleasure. I love to share this stuff because it works.
I know.
It's that's why I'm passionate about it. And it's not as popular as something like yoga. And I think, gosh, if everybody knew the powers that lie within, that it certainly could help so many more people. So thanks for having me, and you're a joy to chat with.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
So check out Jamie's website. The links to the gift and his website are below, and his all his social media. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and listening to this conversation. And if you want to chat more about Tai Chi or Qigong, you can always start a conversation in the Facebook group for the Energy and Consciousness Summit. And there are more great talks coming. So stay tuned for more information and tools. So thank you again, Jamie, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much.